Hello everyone, and welcome back to, the genius of Hunter the Parenting. For those who don't know, I am a writer and I am examining this series, doing a literary analysis reaction mixture. And before we get started today with the probing of Kevin, I would like to highlight a comment on the first video. This is from Chris Baldwin, 8570. I think for Dee's opening scene, it shows him driving, with his reflection in the window showing he is the one making the decisions and guiding the family, while the reflection shows it is just another day for him. That he isn't nervous like boy or engrossed like kitten, but rather moving forward as he needs to, and has been doing what is most likely his entire life. You can see the same look on men marching off to war, for example. So thank you for that comment, because I think that pretty perfectly sums up what Dee is and what I didn't notice. The symbolism there is pretty much perfect for Dee as well, so thank you for clarifying this. And now, on to the probing of Kevin.
Well, if it isn't the great and mighty Kevin!
You dare say my name with hints of ridicule in your...
Yeah, and notice how in Kevin's picture here, one of his eyes has been staked out. He hasn't regenerated his wounds yet, probably because after the the episode before last, he doesn't have enough blood to heal them.
Foul Gorillan voice!
Don't dare call this voice Gorillan! I am orangutan fan #1!
Foreshadowing 1.
Liquid simian! Absurd well-ape! Come here so I may take a sippy!
Tempting! But instead, I will hit you with my pants!
Yeah, so basically, this quick introduction's main purpose was to reestablish for the audience these characters, what their positions are, and what they're doing. Just to, basically just establishing at the episode.
You know nothing.
As well as a note of how, crazy they both are. Dee and Kevin are more alike than it may seem from their different ages and physiques, and possibly different supernatural types.
The noble forest people.
Also, fun fact, orangutan means people of the forest.
Only God would forgive me!
Alright, you're forgiven. Oh, hey!
Don't know if that's egotism on Dee's part, a hint as to his real identity, him just making a joke, or him assuming that God would forgive Kevin.
Hey, I've got something for you.
No further omelette! My organs are a stew at the sight of it!
Oh, not a chance of that. You don't get the omelet unless you're feeling uncooperative.
Indicating that Dee didn't use the omelet on him, but the mere sight of it, considering how it's an omelet mixed with sulfuric acid, was enough to make Kevin really dislike it. Which, shows that Dee was kinda right about the whole threat of torture thing last episode.
Fool! I will never cooperate!
Then omelet it is!
Oh, anything but that! I'll do anything!
Will you cooperate?
Fool! I will never cooperate!
Oh, this dilemma smothers my brain!
More of them being crazy, but, this is mostly for the sake of humor here, with Kevin doing, I'll do everything except cooperate, which basically means that he wouldn't do anything, since cooperation would be required for just about anything that a hunter would want him to do, aside from, die.
You know, this omelet is especially potent. My son-in-law had his blender melt concocting it. He had to run out to the 99p store to get a new one.
Foreshadowing.
Why would you look for a blender in a 99p store?
Maybe because we wanted to buy it for 99p, Kevin.
What next? Will you go looking for the 99p plasma television?
What? They have plasma television?
Fuck!
As if gas stoves weren't enough. The monsters!
Yeah, Dee, this could be a hint at his actual age, considering how he doesn't really know what he didn't know what a plasma television was until then, and while plasma TVs themselves were not exactly all that common in the early 2000s, your average person would know of them.
Your skull is like an empty wheelbarrow. I am so tired. I would use my powerful match license to have you open this?
Oh, and yeah, another thing I'd like to point out, all the holes on his chest from the other stakes the family gave him, or put into him, weren't fully healed yet.
Get your cell door and remove this funny ball and chain.
Oh, too bad you can't.
Don't worry, there is a solution. I drink you.
No!
Let me drink
Yeah.
you.
No dice.
Let me break free so I can go home and feed my cat.
And now, this is important for Kevin's characterization. Previously, Kevin was characterized as being the only one of the Licks to, or at least aside from Shitbeard, I suppose. Yeah, he was the first of the Licks, and one of the two aside from Shitbeard to yell at Ape, and in Kevin's case it was, well, for overfeeding. Now, he did it for practical reasons. That being said, he still did it, which indicates more human than Piotr, who kept his mouth shut about it, even though it led hunters right to their doorstep.
Wait, you have a cat?
Yeah, the cat is another humanizing characteristic for him, especially considering how, if you, well, know your vampire lore, you probably know that Piotr and the others are in the Sabbat, and having a cat, at least a normal cat, probably wouldn't be acceptable to most Sabbat.
I told the ape and Mr. Smurples.
Aren't you in the Sabbat?
And now Dee confirms that those vampires are the Sabbat, for, well, in case anyone was having any doubts who isn't familiar with WoD, and also to introduce the Sabbat as a faction. Remember, when writing series like these, you can't assume that everyone in your audience will be familiar with World of Darkness. So for those unfamiliar, the Sabbat will, well, that name will be bringing up will indicate that this is some sort of group or faction of vampires.
The humanity-rejecting, psychopathic, mass murderer supremacist organization?
Yup, and that right there explains what the Sabbat are, at least in a few words.
It's a mockery of Mr. Smurples, just as that dastard Piotr.
No, not at all. If anything, that makes you seem much more reasonable than...
I am...
Yeah, and that's the spelling out the cat revelation should do for the audience, make him seem much more reasonable, despite Kevin's objections that he isn't. Kevin here is still holding on to his vampire identity, well, Sabbat identity, I think might be better to put it.
not reasonable. I am an evil wizard.
An evil wizard one could have a hearty conversation with.
Well, that's foolish. I do not converse. I am the great...
And mighty Kevin, yes.
Yeah, like...
Blah, 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 blah.
Don't lie.
Yeah, so basically the two are both insane and silly in their own ways. A bit different, like Kevin's tying to his Sabbat identity and D is D.
Don't lie.
Blah.
No.
Listen here, you wacky weirdo! I've done the best I can to avoid torture or final death in your interrogation, but you are nuts! Tough nuts that are hard to crack!
Yeah, and here... So, there's a bit of a bait and switch there. D, when he first says that stuff, sounds like he's going to basically threaten Kevin, but then he says something that's actually pretty respectful. Like saying that, like how Kevin's held off on information.
Thus I can only maintain this kindness for so long before I...
Give up.
Yeah, so that next part, while it is a threat, the way D says it comes off as a bit of a warning. Like, yeah, so like it's basically a sort of interrogation. I guess that D's doing the whole good cop, bad cop routine by himself a little bit. Where he says that, well, yeah. Where he basically says... says, I don't want to have to torture you for this interrogation, but if I have to, I'm going to. Sort of playing both roles.
No, far worse.
Give down.
Close.
No weapon fashioned against me may prosper.
Aside from those stakes.
Not even omelet. I am an evil vampire wizard.
And a rocket launcher would do pretty well against him.
And I fear no god, baby.
There are no god babies here, wizard. Only men.
What are you doing? What are you doing? No. 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 My wallet.
Yeah, and Kevin's horrified reaction, well, first off, it's some that first bit was some build-up, basically implying that Dee would or rather, actually, I think setup is like, the horrified reaction from Kevin indicates that Dee is going to torture him, but then instead of torturing Kevin, as the payoff for this joke, he takes his wallet, which, like, also his characterization for Big D. He is going as far as he can, doing whatever it takes to try to avoid torturing Kevin. Aside from hitting him over the head with a frying pan.
See here!
No, don't take my
Yeah, and Kevin freaking out, well, says a lot about his character and his, in a way, embarrassment and detachment from his own identity, even as he plays human. Or rather, what he has to do in the Sabbat and how embarrassing he finds his last name.
Kevin Wetsworth?
And Kevin's surname being revealed, well, that's basically the full payoff to it. Revealing Kevin's surname was probably more effective than any form of torture against him.
Wait, how on earth are you 27 years old?
Now, here's what I would like to note as well. Kevin is 27 at this point, but Dee doesn't know this at the moment, but he was at least like a vampire for a year or so, probably even several years, judging by what he says in his backstory. Which means that Kevin, when he was a human and when he was turned, was probably a few years younger than 27. If I had to guess, I'd say he's at his youngest 23, far more likely 26 or 25, maybe 24 before he was turned. Dee's probably assuming he's a fledgling, like a very newly turned one, or rather he's just working off of information that he has, looking at Kevin's date of birth, without really knowing how early he was turned.
My day job was stressful, and also I have psoriasis. What do you want?
Yeah, Dee, like I said before, Dee doesn't know when Kevin was turned, so he has to make some assumptions with this. Especially since it's clear Kevin isn't an elder or anything.
Day job? Oh my god, what was it?
No, I won't tell you.
Come on, that's not even a Sabbat secret.
How do you even
Good
know
point.
what the Sabbat is?
Yeah, Dee knowing what the Sabbat is also another way of showing, especially as Kevin does this to make it clear, that just how knowledgeable he is about vampires.
I've been deliriously obliterating fools like you since the 90s.
What old time of the 1890s?
Now, this here is an indicator at Dee's age. Dee says he's been doing it since the 90s, and when Kevin asks the 1890s, Dee doesn't deny it. Also, looking at the information from across the series, because, yeah, these videos are a bit spoiler-heavy, mine are, that is, Dee would have to at least have been doing it since the 1890s if the 90s is truly the start date, like he says. So I'll use Dor as an example. Dor is almost certainly older than Marcus, and Dee has children who are older than Dor. But for the sake of this video, let's assume that Dor is 30 like Marcus is. Dor said that... Dor says to Boy that he's been hunting monsters since he was 11. Now, if we assume that he's 30 in the year 2006, that means that, well, he spent 19 years hunting monsters, and in all likelihood older than that. This would mean that Dor was 11 in 1987. Considering how we see pictures of Dee and some other characters without Dee's parents when they were younger, and Dee mentions that he was a monster hunter with his own parents, that means that these parents, well, probably aren't alive at this point, as well as his siblings, or if they are, they're some weird supernatural creature, or at the very least, aren't around with the family in the 90s. Basically, to sum it up, Dor has been hunting monsters since at least 1987, which puts him just slightly before when Dee started, and there's, well, the 90s date, which means that it can't have been the 1990s that Dee's talking about. And in all likelihood, it's probably far older than the 1890s.
Wait, old?
Okay, I'm tired of screaming now. You can kill me, dude.
Oh, that eager to die.
And yeah, this is establishment of Kevin's character, or at least one aspect of it. At this point in the story, and this will be important for later, Kevin doesn't really particularly care if a hunter kills him or not, which is probably one of the reasons why he's fine with giving information about vampires up. If his masquerade breaches cause a blood hunt that succeeds in killing him, or a hunter to come after him and kill him, so what? At least at this point in the story, character development is a thing.
Life has been nothing but a headache, so I'm hoping my next oscillation will be a bit less shit.
Have no fear, great Kevin. I'm sure you'll be quite handsome and successful in your next life.
Success is for tools and luck is for losers.
I guess I'm just a massive tool then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, like the sequence should illustrate how, despite their differing perspectives, they're both more alike than they think. Or rather, at least than Kevin thinks.
Anyway, now you know my horrible secret. My hated last name, my embarrassing age, my failure.
Yeah, I mean, if I looked like an 80-year-old wizard, aside from my beard being black, when I was a 27-year-old vampire, that'd be pretty embarrassing.
Obtain the 10th bagel on my Bagel World preferred customer punch card.
What's your day job at Bagel World?
Hey, foul cretin! I was once a mighty and powerful accountant.
He doesn't say what type of accountant he was, like, aside from being a writer, I am an accountant in real life as my, day job. However, I'm a tax accountant specifically. At least in the US, there are different types of accountants, internal accountants, auditors, tax accountants, I could go on, but I don't know what it's like in England, and especially not England in the early 2000s.
Who enjoyed poppy seed bagels with creamed cheese and lox?
Oh.
No capers.
We're in accounting, eh?
The economy was my muse. I stare at the monitor, the spreadsheets on my screen, and my eyeballs know calm like never else.
You're a real magic man, huh? That's great. You have any ties to that life still?
Another question to ask, which honestly Dee already knows the answer to, is yes. Because Kevin still has a pet cat, though then again, he might have gotten the cat for all Dee knows after becoming a vampire, but still.
Well,
it's good hint at it.
It's kind of funny, I'm like this powerful wizard of Kane, our king.
You own a cat named Smurple.
Smurple's is evil too. He once peed on my rug, and I threw it in the washer, and then I took it out of the washer, and I dried it, and then I put it back down, and he peed on it again. Very evil little boy.
Like they said in, The Adventures of God webtoon, all cats go to hell. They're not being punished, they just like to watch the sinners getting tortured.
Bastard.
Anyways, I feel so good, and I have power coursing deep within, and I know it's the truth, but...
Yeah, no, Kevin knows that this isn't the truth. He's basically in denial about hating being a vampire, which you'll see later in the episode, but I know it's the truth as a way of... Well, it could be someone saying it's the truth, but the way Kevin says it, his tone, indicates that he doesn't think it is.
No worries. None of the others can hear you here. You can spill it, like you did my blood.
Yes,
Yeah, the blood thing, it's been in this case, it's an interrogation technique to put Kevin at a bit more ease.
I did do that, yes.
All right, go on.
There are many embarrassing factoids about my relationship to bad human Kevin. I still own my apartment for my human life. Kevin is still on the papers. I still tend to be alive now and again.
This is very unusual in World of Darkness for any vampire, especially the Sabbat. Like, even the Camarilla don't really want vampires to associate with the old people they knew, or rather, in this case, places, from their human life, because that threatens the masquerade. The Sabbat would want them to do it either, because they reject their humanity. Not quite sure about the Anarchs, but, well, I mean, the Anarchs are pretty much just the Camarilla, except a bit more freedom for the vampires inside of it. So...
Which,
They'd probably be fairly fine with it, as long as it doesn't infringe on the masquerade too much.
Huge problem before I joined the Sabbat.
And I'm sure it's even worse now.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's like I can go telling my packmates that I own a flat in Great Yarmouth, right? They'd eat me. But I do certain...
I'm gonna call this foreshadowing too. And one thing to note is that the Sabbat is, as far as I know, the only vampire faction in World of Darkness to approve of vampires eating other vampires, in the process known as diablerie.
Sometimes just kind of sneak out and make sure the neighbors don't report me as missing or anything.
Ooh, that's radical. Fight the power, man.
I mean,
Yeah, more of Dee's characterization as disliking authority. And also, I do kind of wonder if Kevin is wearing his wizard robe when he's doing that.
yes, I have transcended the mortal coil, but you know, that apartment is quite nice. It's got built-in AC, it's
Pretty rare in Europe.
not too bad for rent. I had just saved up enough to buy it when I was embraced, but now I have some kind of higher purpose, of course, but...
Yeah, you can hear the regret in Kevin's voice. Good job to his voice actor.
That part still kind of stings.
I totally get it.
I'm actually thinking about how to manage it now, since I still do have to pay for quite a few certain things pertaining to the apartment, but... it's not like I can earn a lot of money going out on crusade like this, right?
I mean, he could rob a bunch of banks, but he'd probably get caught pretty easily, especially when the money gets traced back to him. Like, one of the ways that you can catch a bank robber or other criminal like that is if a bunch of people make some really sudden purchases with money that they can't really explain how they got it. Like, it's why a bunch of criminals do things like have fake businesses, or perhaps even, like, real businesses, to try to explain how they got the money, like money laundering.
Right, yes.
But actually, even when I was with the Camarilla, I didn't quite earn enough to make do on some things, and they want you to blend in.
Yeah, so I'm gonna call this foreshadowing because, Kevin's leader, like the Premier Regent, is a bit of a dumbass. Probably why she's over in the middle of nowhere in England instead of anywhere important in England. Like, but we'll get to that.
And while I have an out now, I still don't really want to have any defaults on my credit, you know?
Oh yeah, that shit's scary. It'll kill you.
Yeah, repo men. I can only kill so many.
Exactly my problem.
Yeah.
We have a similar issue, honestly.
Do you?
The property my family lives on is owned by my son-in-law, but we don't, technically live there, if you know what I mean.
I thought you were about to...
Yeah, so this bit of dialogue from Dee is him relating to Kevin in a way that, first off, doesn't really give him anything that Kevin could use against him, unless he's really clever, but it also humanizes Dee to Kevin, which is an interrogation technique for letting his guard down, and also, well, is part of the way that Dee's trying to turn Kevin to the light side gradually.
Say that the property your family lives on is haunted, like all of England.
Yes, that's why we came there, although it's not haunted anymore.
Yeah.
I figured you lived in that...
Yeah, like, don't know if this is a payoff for the ghost mentions earlier or just another one of them, but well.
bus, honestly.
Oh, yes. We've lived in the Golden Goose a lot.
As shown by, in the first episode with the sleeping bags and tents and such there.
It's our second home. I've driven it across the world, and most of my family has lived in it at one time or another.
Fuck. I wish I was a bus.
I would highly recommend it.
Vroom.
But yeah, the issue with the house is that my son-in-law owns it, and honestly, he is the only one that can really pay for it. But, he lost his job fairly recently.
Foreshadowing! Because, Kitten's job was at the Arcanum, which he got kicked out of, which is basically losing his job.
That's rough.
Actually,
It
literally.
is. Fortunately, he does own the house. He inherited it after this horrible tragedy.
I've seen speculation that the horrible tragedy is the events of the A Life Well Lived video. I'm not sure if it is. Like, if it is, then yeah, I could buy it, but I haven't really seen any evidence that it is. Especially since if Kitten inherited the house, you'd think the people involved would be his relatives, which would mean he'd be there, possibly dead, but it's also possible Kitten was a distant enough relative to not be there, or couldn't make it for some reason, along with his own family, while, like, the siblings he mentions in a later video, while also not being distant enough that he couldn't inherit the house. So, there's that, but basically, I don't know if the first episode, if the Life Well Lived episode is meant to show that tragedy. Might be, might not be, not enough evidence to be sure.
I won't get into it. But just as you said, there's a lot of other things that have to be paid for. And with money getting tighter and tighter, I don't know. I sometimes fear it will all just slip out beneath our fingertips.
That's terrible.
And now we can see Kevin giving some genuine sympathy to Dee, which, if he were a true Sabbat, or at least as the Sabbat want their vampires to be, he probably wouldn't have.
Are you all looking into new jobs?
What? Oh, no. We're hunters.
Well...
And unlike in Chronicles of Darkness, in World of Darkness, you don't get an automatic day job as a hunter.
Okay, I mean, I can't pay many bills. Does hunting come before your home and well-being?
Of course, fool! Once one learns horrors that lie immediately beneath the surface of society, you cannot return to normalcy! It is not possible.
And this, well, is Dee's perspective on hunting, as well as probably a good part of why he trains his family to be hunters, despite the incredible amounts of danger it possesses. It's just not possible for him, or probably any people who are, well, not any, because he mentions children who betrayed him later, but a lot of people who are related to him to just look away once they've seen the world of monsters.
That is why I have taught my children from birth
that
the overwhelming darkness that lingers around us is a part of our natural world. Just like, say, a horrible disease. What we do is we cure this disease. And that always takes precedence.
The blessings of mighty Cain are not of disease. It is a fun present, wrapped up in funny paper that looks like bees.
As fun
Wonder if that's vampire fangs, the bee reference, because stinging.
as haggis and oven-made Brussels sprouts and Africanized killer bees.
Haggis and Brussels sprouts are good human foods, you fucking child. Organ meat.
Ironic that Kevin called him an old man at the start of this episode, and now he's calling him a child.
Tiny
Oh, would you
cabbages.
like to eat some right now? I could go snatch some from the co-op if you're so fucking
I
inclined.
want to suck up your liquids and then piss them out over the deflated balloon that will be your remains.
Which honestly kind of makes me wonder, do vampires urinate in Chronicles of Darkness and World of Darkness? I don't think that's something that devs have gone into, and I don't think they do, because, like, digestive tract dead, they really just absorb the blood, but it makes sense for them to, considering how they drink but don't eat.
That is so funny, oh my god. Fuck! Where do you get all of this?
Yeah.
I am an accountant. Do you know how much I hate mankind?
As a tax accountant, I can confirm that this is mostly true. You can only like humans so much until you realize the stupid bullshit some people will get up to pay their to get out of having to pay their taxes. And I'm not talking about outright tax evasion or any of the illegal stuff, which is, like, even stupider than the legal stuff people will get up to.
I love that. So, what are you gonna do with the apartment?
Well, I'm looking into renting it out to some ghouls, actually. That would probably solve most of my issues.
Agreed.
Oh, so you're an up-and-coming landlord?
Lord is out.
Housing should not be a commodity! In fact, we should remove houses! Castles only!
Ironically enough, many of the people who owned castles in the Middle Ages were basically landlords, because considering how serfs are basically tenants who aren't allowed to give up on their rent and move somewhere else. And even that's not like all the peasants they ruled over were serfs, but still, a lot of the people who owned castles were basically landlords.
With moats and murder holes and Greek fire crocodiles!
You are sick in the brain!
And you are a leech in every sense of the word!
You are as shoveled out the head as the fucking anarch!
Another shovelhead reference, only in this case referring to the anarchs.
Oh, use a lot of secret vampire words without qualm or worry. I respect that.
They
Yeah, though D himself hides it, he at least respects that stuff.
have tried but failed to slay me for years.
Yeah, how many years, we don't know for sure, but like, Kevin was definitely not 27 when he was turned into a vampire.
A blood hunt of my blood shall always come up dry.
And yeah, this should show you just how powerful Kevin's dominate is, considering how he just bragged about surviving multiple blood hunts. Which is another way of and, well, actually, come to think of it, Kevin getting the drop on Big D in episode 1 was characterization. Sure, D did let his guard down, but Kevin also got the drop on someone who's probably been hunting for centuries, and now he's bragged about surviving multiple blood hunts. He is definitely a very great and mighty vampire wizard.
Ironic you should say that, given your current position.
I'm still standing.
Another good point!
Great and mighty Kevin keeps on kicking. Oh no, once I get a little sippity-whippity, I shall unlock this door with your nose bone.
You are ignorant of all cartilage! So, you say you were in the Camarilla, correct? The
Yeah.
Camarilla, as far as
D getting back to this stuff.
I know, don't appreciate defectors. Their grip on your kind is something they would rather keep.
The Camarilla. Oh, how I loathe it. That elitist sect has controlled the Canite for far too long. Their worship of the elderly and all their primitive traditions makes my bones ache.
Yeah, which is kinda what the Anarch's objection to the Camarilla is.
Are you familiar with the masquerade?
Yeah.
Then you know why I reject it. You know why I reject the Camarilla and its highfalutin rich boy play act? That I must gingerly play the role of an innocent human at their behest when I have become so much more is despicable.
Well, I hate the machinations of the proverbial man as much as the next very cool guy, but I feel you may have gone a bit far with the whole join the evil monster sect that is the Sabbat thing.
A good point, especially considering how so far in the episode it's been established that Kevin is really attached to his humanity, at least far more than he claims to be.
No, not far enough. I am one of the few smart and powerful enough to fuck off from the Camarilla pyramid scheme into a new pyramid scheme I can actually win at.
Yeah, Kevin is... This is our establishing of Kevin's intelligence. He's smart enough to know, and even admit, despite his denials, that he's went from one pyramid scheme to another. So he isn't pretending that the Sabbat isn't a pyramid scheme, just that it's one that he could succeed at, which maybe he can get up to an extent, but he isn't a Zemisi, and he isn't a La Sombra, so even that is ultimately limited.
Which is quite an accomplishment, given what I know of your other pyramid scheme.
You speak of the Tremere Pyramid?
We need to stop saying pyramid, it's getting down well Gießen in here.
Unavoidable. Also, your knowledge of the clan Tremere betrays your true bite. Must be embarrassing how you almost got owned by us in the tunnels.
Rather than talk about how dumb you think I am, I'd rather talk about how cool you think you are.
And this was a bit of a deflection from D, because while Kevin was getting at the tunnel thing, it was also D, well, aside from getting more information from Kevin, this also prevents Kevin from prying into the whole might of D and how long he's been hunting, which, if D can't turn Kevin to his side, could potentially be used against him should Kevin escape.
Acceptable.
Now then, I understand the House of Tremere exerts intense control over its membership.
You understand correctly. All of Clan Tremere are forced to become bound to the hateful pyramid on pain of death. They are each bound to the will of the greater clan. More specifically, its rulers in Vienna. Not the sausage.
Yeah.
It is slavery. You're a slave to your sire a slave to theirs, and their sirens stay respectively all the way to the heads of the clan. That
Yeah, like, even by vampire standards, this is pretty evil, which is why a lot of vampires don't like the Tremere. Well, one of the reasons why, there are a few, but like, forcing blood bonds on this all the way up to that level, most vampires don't do this with their progeny.
is the dastardly pyramid.
Impressive for you to break free from such an edifice.
Impressive
Yes.
indeed. For oh, the process was agonizing. Imagine for a moment, if you will, a stranger in your mind. Something deep within your cognition that floods your thoughts with their own. Where there should be anger, there is love. Where there should be hatred, there is obedience. You think, these thoughts are wrong, foreign. But even that feels grossly repellent. You chastise yourself for daring to feel this way. You feel despicable, ugly, and the warmth comes only from submission. And there you are, adrift in all of this. Misled by your own cognition, made to feel grotesque from the mere suggestion of independent thought. That is the blood bond. That is the pyramid.
Truly dreadful. Another curse upon your curse. I sympathize.
Yeah, and despite what Kevin will say, this is genuine sympathy. So now, at this point, they've both shown sympathy towards each other, despite one being a monster hunter and the other being a vampire.
Your sympathy is hollow, my foe.
Perhaps so.
Perhaps.
Well earned by the acts of your masters.
On that
Correct.
we are agreed.
How did you escape?
I am Houdini.
No! You can't be! I killed Houdini!
Wonder if this is foreshadowing? I think I remember this clip showing up at... You know what, I'll double check, and if the foreshadowing counter comes up, I'll count it as that. Funny thing is, Houdini was a supernatural creature in like, World of Darkness. I think he actually was turned into a vampire, which honestly would kind of make sense how Dee ended up killing him. He got turned into a vampire, though, after doing his stage magician thing, and at some point encountered Big D, and, well, that did not go well. Oh, pressed mute by accident.
True magician.
What? You disrespect the art of blood magics?
Which I'm pretty sure Kevin has only a single dot in at most. So, like, judging by Kevin's performance so far in the series, beyond this point, I think Kevin has Dominate 5, Auspex 3, and Blood Magic is either 0 or 1. Like, I can't see it as being more than 1, considering how he never uses any. Dominate is clearly his specialty, with Auspex at least at 3, because if I remember right, that's when the Aura Vision comes in. But I could be mistaken. More familiar with COFD than WAD in any case.
Blood magic is not true magic, and I know more than just this. I have hunted for years with many organizations. I have picked up many disparate pieces of your clan's history in my days, from your thievery of vampirism, your diablerie of Saulot, and to your great Masasa war with the ancient
What are you
clan.
fucking babbling about?
What do you mean, babbling?
Babbling is in what are you fucking babbling about? I have no idea what you're even saying.
Oh.
Dude! I am a 27-year-old accountant turned wizard. I do not know ye old fun facties.
Yeah, so one of the things I'd have to say is that Dee definitely overestimated how much the Tremere teach their lower-ranking guys, though then again, maybe they did tell Kevin all that, since he seems to know a little bit of it later, but Kevin either wasn't paying attention, was too lost in his blood bond, or just didn't care enough to memorize it.
Surely you know.
I know not who or what a Masasa is. The internet is not a right, you know. Wikipedia costs money to see.
It's not something you can read about on the so-called interweb. It's this big fight you had with the wizards or something.
Oh, yes, I know a little about this.
Though the exact method, maybe the Tremeres told him, maybe he overheard it while he was among them.
Are you a wizard?
What?
You have to tell me if you're a wizard. It's the rules.
What I am is about to kick your ass, Pewbeard.
Are you a ghoul?
No.
Perhaps some fairy of some kind.
What?
Are you a race car?
Damn you, Kevin!
Aside from the race car, at least I think, all those things are stuff that people speculated Big D was in previous videos. Which is honestly impressive considering how this is the third video, as far as I remember. That being said, I'd like to note that Kevin does not ask D if he's a mummy.
You have ruined this perfectly teachable moment about ancient history!
Who cares?
I know you don't, but you understand, Kevin? Do you understand how long I could have talked about something I know stuff about? I'm infuriated!
Yeah, Kevin really pissed D off here, especially considering how, well, D doesn't give away information easily, but here he's more free to talk about information, because, like, he knows that Kevin knows all of the stuff that he's trying to hide from his family to keep them from accidentally giving it away. At least probably until he figures out. But anyway, so D was free to talk here with someone without worrying about having to give up any masquerade secrets or anything. And now he can't fully do it because of the Kevin chicanery.
Your anger is my victory. 1 point for Kevin.
Dare you? I am de-escalating out of spite.
That is also my victory. 2 points for Kevin.
I'm gonna call this a little bit of foreshadowing for later in the episode.
Confound thee, Kevin! Confound thee!
3.
You are indeed a worthy foe, mighty Kevin.
Yeah, like, D definitely respects Kevin genuinely here.
Lucky I'm dead or that might have killed me.
Good.
Agreed.
Now tell me how you escaped the pyramid.
Only if you discontinue slapstick violence.
I make no guarantees.
I hate cops. I was the progeny of a high-ranking Tremere, the right hand of the Regent of Yarmouth herself. She was a cruel and stupid mistress.
Pretty good description of her, as well as of the Regent of Yarmouth.
Much like you. See? Just like her.
Which should tell you about Kevin's relationship with her.
Yes, I see.
The Regent herself was even worse.
From what we've seen of her, yeah.
For my dreadful sire was a maniacal toady for the Regent's own schemes. So lost in the sauce of her own blood bond, she thinks of little else beyond fanatical devotion to her master.
Sounds rather unhealthy.
Yeah, no shit! However, though mighty sorcerers, neither my sire nor the Regent could navigate the world of the mundane very well.
A common problem among elder vampires in Vampire the Masquerade, and even Vampire the Requiem to an extent. A lot of them have trouble adapting to the world just because of how much it changed over the centuries.
Thus, they required a neonate to aid their schemes. I was chosen by my sire and brought into the fold as the Chantry's treasurer.
Interesting.
No.
The anointed tax documentarian, here in my prison. It seems like you were the heir to quite a political gold mine back in Camarilla territory.
Or so you'd think, but I highly suspect that the Tremere Regent was assigned to Great Yarmouth because of her incompetence. Like, there is a standard level of incompetence with dealing with modern stuff that's understood with, like, as something that is a thing for old vampires, and we don't know how old the Regent is. Judging by the fact that she's in any position of power, she's gotta be at least a few hundred years old, unless there was just a vacancy popping up. But judging by her lack of knowledge about modern times, she almost certainly is at least a few hundred years old. The Tremere were first a thing in the Middle Ages, if I remember VTM lore right. So she can't be, like, 1,000 years old, even though, like, I think they were first around, like, somewhere between the 1000s and 1300s. Don't remember exact time, but she can't be over 1,000 years old, I'm pretty sure. So, probably about somewhere between, let's say, 2 and maybe 600. Rough estimate.
I was after more than that. I am blessed with highly potent blood. Blood of the 9th generation. My accursed sire was of the 8th, and the Regent herself is the 7th.
That is very good for modern times. for all three of them. Now, but keep in mind that a vampire's generation doesn't necessarily have anything to do with their age. It's entirely, as Kevin demonstrates, it's entirely possible for a low generation vampire to sire someone else who then ends up being of low generation, regardless of the era. Like, thin bloods were a thing back in Carthage.
Ooh, most threatening.
That's a vampire that's barely a vampire from how much their blood has been diluted from the generations.
That guy holds the highest standard of blood, rivaled only by Shitbeard and his ludicrous 10th generation pizzazz. Alas, poor Piotr, the 12th generation rube.
12th generation is basically standard for modern knights.
The buffoon, the tool, less potent than even ape.
Curious. I always took him as the leader's sort.
Tragically, he is.
Yup, as shown in the previous episode, as I demonstrated when I went over it, Piotr was the leader who ordered the others around.
Tool. Though he is of weak blood, he has been undead the longest, and thus is the most experienced. This makes him most suited for the position. For now.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Do I sense a conspiracy of ruin?
No, you don't. You heard nothing.
Yeah, so I mentioned that noise in a video before. Some people speculate because of the howling wording that it might be a werewolf, particularly the Elder Shuck. I don't think so. I think that's the vampires in the other room being interrogated. And keep in mind, listening to it...
No, you don't. You heard nothing. What the
it doesn't sound like wolf howling.
fuck was that? Is there someone else down here?
It's also possible it was Krakus making some really loud noises.
No, you had nothing! What were you talking about?
I was telling you my pyramid story, remember?
Oh, right!
Oh, indeed, doesn't even use the term howling. Unless that's at a later part of this episode, which we'll find out. But, yeah, I guess...
Carry on, ignore the screaming, ignore the
Oh, no,
howling.
he did.
Tail-weaving
Yeah, just basically probably just using it as a synonym for screaming instead of just, well, how wolves howl.
I was the regent's grandchild and accountant. Yet, when I informed her about the harsh financial realities of the mortal world, I fell swiftly out of favor.
Harsh realities such as...
That you need to pay your employees a living wage!
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about when I say that the Tremere Regent is incompetent. Even if we assume that she's from the Middle Ages, the lords did not pay their servants and serfs starvation wages. There were a few different ways people were paid in the Middle Ages, and it depends on what social class, job, etc. they had. But, like, if we're talking about serfs and servants, there are essentially, well, three main ways if we're talking about people who would have a position equivalent to ghouls in medieval society, which is probably what vampires would derive their treatment from if they were medieval. If we're talking serfs, they're essentially paid by giving them a piece of land and then letting them work it for their own crops. From there, they would either have to work a certain amount of time of the year for the lord's crops, or they would have to give some of their crops to their lord as a form of taxation. This would have varied depending on time and society. If I remember right, the taxation thing was a bit more common. But basically, the serfs essentially made their own food and could do whatever they want with it, minus the amount that was given to their lord as taxes. Now, if we're talking servants who are, say, temp workers, or basically things like construction workers or stuff, sometimes they wouldn't be paid in money, but they'd be paid by giving them essentially the food and supplies and shelter. Like, think of it this way. Imagine if you hired a construction worker to work on your house, and instead of paying him in money, you let him sleep in your house and gave him food and alcohol. It's a bit weird to think of in modern times, but, like, keep in mind that back then, not everyone would have necessarily had a house, so, well, even today people don't, but anyway, moving on, the third way would be just paying them with money, which was a thing in the Middle Ages. People did pay other people stuff with money, so that's yes, so like, basically, they actually did pay people in the Middle Ages, so this isn't necessarily just the Tremere Regent not understanding how the modern world works, especially since Kevin is going to mention ghouls starving. It's her just genuinely being incompetent and greedy.
Mind controlling or blood bonding them works only until they've run out of money. Then they starve to death. Or
Yep.
the taxman runs the numbers and find out yours make no sense.
Yeah, and I'm going to, if the blood bonding, it would probably have to be ghouls or maybe weaker vampires. Mind controlling can be done for, like, non-ghouls with domination, but I suspect but yeah, like, in either case, it still applies that this is incompetence, not just being from a different time.
Everything must add up or you will be subtracted from the equation.
Great description of what the taxman does at times.
Taxmen, the unsung heroes of the world of the hunter. How I hate them!
Do you like roads?
Yes!
Then you like taxes, you bilge rat!
Of course I do. So long as I'm not paying them, that is.
Your stupidity is giving
Yeah.
me a rash, Big Dean.
Big Dean! Big Dean is my ex-wife! And you haven't finished your story! You fell out of favor, and then what?
Then my undeath became a living hell. The Regent's attention fell upon another, and my sire's attention left with them. She
Very irresponsible vampire parents
chided me
there.
for not being sufficiently slavish or East Anglian enough. Encouraged me to either deepen my blood bond or be abandoned. I was left scrounging for arcade lore from the shelves of the 99-pence stores.
Foreshadowing.
Utterly useless, unwanted among my clanmates.
Well, such backstabs are to be expected in the vampire world.
Yeah, like, vampires are, like I said before, vampires are known for being treacherous, and the Tremere are particularly known for
Give me
it.
the lecture. I am being
Despite the blood bond, though, if I remember right, they were mostly known for being treacherous towards the other clans, so...
very vulnerable right now.
But lecture I must! If you were torn from your clan, why not mingle with the others within your sect? Or even those anarch fellows? Why go to the Sabbat of all things?
Fool! I discovered soon after Embrace that I was unwanted among the Camarilla. Few trust the Tremere, for they fear their might and pluck, and thus my fate was sealed. My comrades thought me a pest, and all beyond thought me a bootlick. But I would show them.
Yeah, as for the Sabbat, now, the Sabbat have two clans at their head, the Lasombra and the Zemisi. The Zemisi particularly hate the Tremere. So, that, ironically enough, might have made Kevin's entry into the Sabbat easier. Part of why D probably singled out Kevin is because there was an event in the 90s where pretty much every Tremere anti-tribute, that's a vampire who opposes their clan, died. So this means that Kevin either found some way to survive it, or more likely was a more recent traitor to the Tremere. Now, the Zemisi, aside from not having many Tremere anti-tribute at this point, probably would be pretty happy to find a Tremere who's willing to betray their own in the Camarilla, just for the sadistic delight of knowing how much it'll piss off the Tremere.
Show them all. I left the clan. I left their society. So that I may destroy them.
Funnily enough, with his siding with Big D, Kevin might get to do that.
For I am the great and mighty Kevin.
Inspirational! The powers that be didn't show you respect, so you've strove to take it from them with your bare hands!
Yeah, and honestly, D, considering his dislike of authority, is probably being fairly genuine here, even if he doesn't exactly agree with the methods by which Kevin chose to do it.
You understand?
I do, but still, Kevin, you must forgive me. I can't help but think the Sabbat is a bad fit for you.
I agree.
What? You kidding? I broke free from the pyramid with their help, fool! Few can boast of, and even fewer can boast of and live!
True.
Yes, but you also hold massive ties to your human life. And that's a bit of a no-no when your ideology revolves around, dissolving your own humanity in a stew of beasthood.
Yes, I sentimentally hold on to my humanity at times. But haven't you seen a cat?
Fair
Cats are
point.
Great. Fact is, I broke the pyramid's blood bond through will. Sheer, unflinching will. And the Voldery also, but yes, pure will.
The Voldery! Now we've struck gold.
Congratulations, you old tiny prospector.
Wonder if Dee ever was a prospector. I mean, he does, even if he steals a lot of stuff, he at least has some money at some times. Which, if you could have struck rich in the gold rush, though, the people who got rich in the gold rush more reliably weren't the guys who were dug for gold, they were the guys who sold stuff to the people who dug for gold. But if you could do it, that could fund Dee's hunting lifestyle for quite some time.
I don't know very much about them.
Kevin 4.
Actually, I know everything about them, in fact, actually!
Yeah? Explain it.
Oh, sure, yeah, it's just 2, 3, 4.
Okay, I will explain it. Pansexual panbearer.
I knew you'd see it my way. D5.
Climbing slowly toward your 2-digit intellect. Please, no more panic.
Social credit deducted.
Fine.
Just got an ad for Verho Curse of Faces, and that actually looked pretty cool. Might look into it later.
Voldery is one of the Sabbat's foundational rites. It was among the few ways I could be prematurely liberated from the pyramid.
Yeah, the only other way would basically be to just wait until the blood... If I remember right, could be remembering it wrong, but the blood bond's addiction wearing off. Also, the fact that Dee didn't know about the Voldery establishes that, as much as he knows about vampires, he still doesn't know everything about them.
It's a communal blood bond between members of a pack, formed from drops of blood from all members. It creates a mutual bond known as the vinculum, which shatters all former blood bonds.
Intriguing. I suppose that explains why roving bands of Sabbat hooligans actually stand each other's presence from time to time.
Sad but true.
Yeah.
Without these bonds of fellowship, I'm pretty sure we would have all murdered each other like 6 times now.
Yeah, like, the Sabbat aren't exactly forced that way. I mean, vampires kill each other all the time, even within the same faction. But the Sabbat, come on, they're outright the guys who are anti their own humanity, what's left of it. So, it should be fairly obvious that they're going to be particularly murderous towards their own kind.
But aren't you just exchanging one blood bond for another? Isn't that just more slavery?
Yes,
And
but
that's to say nothing about their love of their approval of Diablo.
also not even slightly. There is an alteration made through this. We tend to be far more chummy with each other for about a month after it's renewed, much like a library membership. But the effect is far lighter than even the meekest of blood bonds. Attachment is for mortals, after all, just if it's a cat. The hard part isn't enduring the vinculum. The hard part was finding the willpower to take it in the first place.
I see. A picture is beginning to form, Kevin.
Is it a pretty picture?
No, it's a picture of you.
Fuck! Okay, serious.
Yeah, I suspect this is, well, either Krakus or the start of the vampire wrestling match, so to speak, or something. Yeah, probably the fight between Shitbeard and Ape. And as to the lack of screaming in the actual match, I actually suspect they were originally intending for there to be more screaming, but they ended up changing their minds during production.
What is that?
Kevin,
But I'm not sure.
you happy in the Sabbat?
Groan! Are
Yeah.
you going to try and drag me into the metaphorical light?
Yes, he is.
Maybe.
Yes.
Wake up!
No! Oh, drat, I just...
You have an apartment, a cat named Slurple.
Hey, don't yap your mouth
Oh,
about Smurf.
wake up both being used metaphorically and literally in this Kevin was pretending to sleep.
I have yet to find him a forever home.
You know, Kev, can I call you Kev?
No.
Kev, I've been hunting vampires for a very long time. From fledglings to ancillae, even a mighty Methuselah once upon a time.
Bullshit! Bullshit! Our ancients are beyond even the stoutest hunters.
If you're counting the hunters with a degree of true faith, then don't I disagree, but also hunters can accomplish a lot by just fighting completely unfairly.
Say what you like, but believe it or not, long ago, my father, my siblings, and myself bested a Methuselah.
And note, for you people on powerscaling.net or whatever it's called, we don't know how D, his father, and his siblings did this. It could be that D was the only survivor and the rest of them died to take it down. Could be that they all lived, could be that they did it in a straight-up fight, that they used some sort of ritual, or that they just killed the Methuselah in its sleep.
I believe they were of the clan La Sombra, if I'm not mistaken.
If this is true, you are a far greater hunter than I had reckoned.
It is, and I am!
No! How did you survive its obtenebration?
A thought that, not confirmed, but considering how the Sombra are one of the two clans in charge of the Sabbat, I wonder if their obtenebration has been exaggerated to Kevin to try to keep him in line, like after he joined. He's like, it is a powerful ability, but ultimately, it isn't necessarily more powerful than, say, the Tremir's blood magic. In fact, from what I've heard from people who played the game, the Tremir's blood magic is significantly more powerful due to its versatility.
For a later day, perhaps. I'm focusing on you.
Also, giving away how he did it if Kevin can't be brought to the light could potentially go badly for D.
Let me ask you a serious question. Did you join the Sabbat to experience liberation, freedom, vampiric supremacy? Or did you join because you felt it was your only way out?
D? This is what they call you, yes?
Yeah.
It is one of my many titles.
Okay, DD. You beam with power and charisma, like a premium radiator.
Don't tempt me, seductress!
Listen, sexy fool man.
Yeah.
Your mortal form limits you. Why would someone as screaming as you tolerate life as a mere mortal? Join a greater cause and become my ally!
Now, to D's recruitment, with Kevin is trying to recruit him back.
Why would I serve the first murderer when I can kill him myself?
One of the best lines in Hunter the Parenting.
What do you think you are, Kane to Kane? Yeah. You gonna find a big enough rock, big boy?
Yeah, it's a big rock, no?
You're insane.
You are.
Honestly, it'd be kind of funny if this series ended with Kane showing up to start the apocalypse. The apocalypse starting, and then D killing Kane by throwing a rock at him.
I'm the first person to
K sounds names mix me up.
tell me that.
I did not account for what immense hubris I stood in for.
Hubris implies confidence in excess. You will not find me wanting in my conviction.
Technically, the original version, the meaning of hubris, was thinking you're as good as the gods. A Greek term from ancient Greece, and considering how Kane is a god of vampires effectively, or at least that's how a lot of vampires view him, the use of hubris is pretty fitting here from Kevin.
You... No, you are actually insane.
Yeah.
You can't kill Kane. You eat hash browns. You have children.
In a way, that I don't know if it's for sure there, but to me it sounds like Kevin is trying to convince himself that D can't kill Kane. Because he sounds like he almost believes him here.
Wear shorts that accentuate your bulbous behind. You!
Yes?
You live in Norfolk. You are a mere mortal man. I bet you drink Worcestershire sauce like some kind of freak. Greater champions than you have tried.
Kevin's essential argument here, also, well, aside from the greater champions than you part, doesn't really make much sense. It basically says D is too much of a normal guy to kill Kane. Which, I mean, none of that has anything to do with his combat ability or status as a hunter. But I suppose that should show how a lot of vampires view humans, or at least, not necessarily a lot of vampires, but how Kevin might see, well, actually, I think it might more be because of Kevin's own forcing himself to reject his own humanity. Yeah, I think that's it. Kevin's rejecting his humanity because he's basically being forced to by a Sabbat, and though he clings on to it, he's basically trying to consider that humanity makes you weak. Which is why he's saying this, because D is acting very human. Or at least what Kevin said of D's is human. So therefore, Kevin can't, D, it's weak and cannot defeat Cain.
Perhaps they have. Yet I will succeed. Though I'd settle for wiping out the third generation at least.
You are destined for failure! Such a stupid tool! But you are also stupid cool!
Yeah, and here we see that Kevin has come to genuinely respect D back.
Oh, darling.
I just want you to join my funny crusade.
Kevin, as a Cainite, you should by all rights be staked for the sun. But honestly, I can't bring myself to kill you. Instead of serving as unwitting mercenaries in a petty war over North Norfolk, why not join my crusade?
Your crusade?
You shall be my companion, bearer of my sigil.
Yeah, and this basically indicates that Kevin is the equivalent of Malkador, though Malkador doesn't really have much of a role in TTS due to being dead at the time. But the sigil part, Malkador is called the Sigilite for a reason.
And regent of a new paradigm shift, where such frivolities as the masquerade shall no longer be necessary. You shall be free, be able to live in your apartment with no fear, and you won't even have to pay any shitty bills.
You. Let me understand this correctly, because you're throwing me for a bit of a loop, DD.
Yeah, now, while Kevin did the light thing before, he didn't fully know D was trying to recruit him to this extent.
You, who by principle hates the Cainite and seeks its destruction, to rid the earth of this disease, as you call it. Who are you to spare me? To break your principles at the merest whim? What gives you the right to rule over this?
Well, the answer in this case is simple. Or at least, there are multiple possible answers to this. One is that D here is not breaking his principles. He knows that vampires don't have to kill people to feed, and if you have a vampire with high humanity who doesn't kill people, they're still a dangerous thing, but they're not necessarily that much worse than a normal human. Another possibility is that D is aware of Goncola, which is basically a way for vampires to free themselves of the beast, and he intends to put Kevin through it, which will effectively cure his vampirism, all the while, is allowing him to live.
Right? How very glib of you to speak of rights, Cainite.
But D here deflects by talking about Kevin's rights, probably because for a few reasons. First off, D might have some information that he doesn't want to reveal to Kevin just yet. That is the reason why he's doing this. It's also possible that saying his plan wouldn't necessarily convince Kevin, or D thinks it wouldn't, hence why he diverts to this tangent.
You who live by force.
I do not live.
Silence! You have drifted far from your vaunted beastdom, Cainite. You are far more human than you could ever dare admit. What is more liberating? The band of monsters forcing you to erase your humanity? The maniacal sorcerers tossing you aside like a rag doll? Or rejecting both? To face the world down, head to head, and dare it to stop you? The freedom that comes from either worthy death or triumphant victory.
Allow me to tell you a parable. A parable about one named Kevin Westworth.
And here's where we get to the core of Kevin, as well as the tragedy of vampires in Vampire the Masquerade.
Kevin was born in Ipswich to a middle-class family. His parents were devout followers of the status quo, and primed him with all the tools necessary to lead a pleasant, stagnant, unexceptional life. Kevin became an accountant, about the only field in which he truly excelled. But his dream was always to accomplish something more. So he broke away from his life in the suburbs, moved a bit further north. He decided he will make it big. He will do something with his life. He failed. And so, Kevin got a job as an accountant in Great Yarmouth. But Kevin never gave up. Don't you understand? Kevin may have been trapped in the mire. He may have been an uninspiring person trapped in a dead-end job. His dreams and aspirations might have been dying, but they weren't dead. Not completely. He was going to make his name. He was going to make rent every week. He was going to move up, see the world. He was going to do something, anything, to make people know his name. And then Kevin died.
And there you have it. Kevin, while he didn't necessarily have a spectacular life, he still had a relatively good one, at least by World of Darkness standards. His dreams weren't dead, even if they were dying, and there's a chance that Kevin, if he stayed human, might have been able to fulfill them. And even if they didn't, he very likely could have potentially gotten a good life with a good middle-class living standard. But all that died when he became a vampire, became a slave to those in the Tremere Pyramid who were higher up than him.
And now you know the rest.
Well, perhaps I know a part, but neither of us know the ending.
Spare me your optimism! It was stolen from me along with my life. You cannot know the feeling of the embrace. To wake one day, your skin cold, your heart still, ravenous, inhuman. But once there was a world, friends, colleagues.
Yeah, Kevin had people he cared about, people he called friends, but he was almost certainly forced to abandon all of them, as well as his family, when he became a vampire.
Now there is only prey and treachery. This story comes to no good end. I cannot follow my dreams. I must scrounge to stay alive or sane. I cannot remain human any longer. My only hope is to embrace a shadow of this dream. To embrace the beast. And hope freedom is on the other side.
Freedom never comes through surrender.
Perhaps not. That's the only chance I have left.
Or so he thinks.
If you truly believe that, there is little that can be done. The sad quirks of circumstance will see you degenerate into a monster and die as one.
Yeah, like, even if a vampire could potentially live forever, minus all the apocalypses in this setting, the fact is that once they become fully beast, they lose what's left of their humanity and with it their sanity. They basically become a wild animal. And at that point, it's only a matter of time before they draw attention to themselves and are outwitted and killed. Either by another vampire trying to cover up the masquerade, a human hunter, a werewolf, or some other weird thing. The fact is that a vampire who loses their humanity is screwed.
But if you so choose, there may be a chance to claw your way out from this.
Possibly
Find
Goncola.
a different path for all of you. You need only rise and take it.
Well, I suppose I could tell you a secret. That the Regent would not want hunters to know.
Foreshadowing. Thank you for watching, everyone, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe.